Welcome back to Glendale Today. In our first segment, we talked about the history, growth, and future plans for the Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium. And coming up shortly, we'll take a tour of the brand new safari park.
Now they are famous for mimicking sounds in here. We do have birds that make train noises.
My guest for today's show is Mickey Ollson. I understand a lot of school children visit the zoo each year, about 80,000. Can you tell us a little bit about the educational programs for the kids?
Sure. We really enjoy the support that we've got from all the different school districts around really around the state, because we get kids all the way from the Colorado River. You're right, about 80,000 a year come on organized field trips. We have 5 full-time paid educators here at Wildlife World Zoo, a huge education department. The school children can also visit our Lori parrot feeding 3 times a day. On the school trips, of course, they love the petting zoo because there's baby animals, baby goats, baby llama, baby deer, and they love going in and interacting with the animals. There's no charge for any of those things to the school children.
Alligators use their coloring to help them blend into their environment.
And of course, we also have our outreach vans. And our outreach vans are sponsored by Sanderson Ford in Glendale, and they've done a wonderful job for the last 25 years since we started our education program. And the vans actually take some of our handable animals, usually 5 or 6 different animals, and do a 45-minute, or it can be a longer show. And that's done at the schools and also at the community groups and the different kind of service clubs around the West Valley.
Well, thank you, Mickey. I bet the kids learn a lot from these programs. And I too learned a lot while visiting the zoo recently. We spent a lot of time at the brand new safari park exhibit when we hopped on the tram and drove right through the middle of some of these enclosures. Let's take a look at that now.
As the tram here will take us in with some of the animals. And this is a great way to see the animals up close. Of course, as you walk through the safari park, you'll see the animals from a little further distance, but on the tram you actually get right in the enclosure with the animals. This first group of animals here are the Bisa oryx. They're believed to be the origination of the myth of the unicorn, because if you see an oryx from the side, the horns curve back and it looks like there's just one horn, because they're lined up perfectly.
I noticed they just, the herd kind of moved a little bit. Are they used to the F-16s flying overhead?
They are, during the air show this spring, they didn't budge at all. The only thing that it seemed to bother were the ostrich.
When did you come up with plans for this section which just opened up this past winter?
For years we've wanted to duplicate the train ride with the tram ride, and this property adjacent to the zoo became available about 3.5 years ago, and so we didn't hesitate. And the nice thing was, it was a commercial growing yard for nurseries.
Right. So
for nursery trees.
There.
So we had a lot of olive trees to screen one exhibit to the other.
How many palm trees were already planted here?
There were about 105 mature palm trees on this 15 acres, and they were planted back in the mid-70s.
Isn't that incredible?
So we had these 50-foot palm trees, and we've used those for some of the monkey islands. We have our sable antelope here. They're an antelope that occurs mostly in South Africa. And then in the distance are our Watusi. They're the wild cattle of Africa.
Now, as we ride on this tram, are there any of the species that like to come up very close, or they kind of just ignore it?
Most of them just ignore it, except for the ostrich. As we get in the ostrich, sometimes they'll come right up to the tram. Ostrich, of course, go with Africa. They're the largest bird, and they're quite interesting birds. Not the smartest.
No.
They're a huge bird, and their brain's about the size of a peanut.
And you say you keep the males separated?
Yes, the males, sometime as adults, they're protecting their territory, and they can come up and actually try to kick the side of the tram. So we have all female ostrich out here on the safari.
And they wouldn't do much damage to me, would they?
No, they'll come up. If you put your hand out, they'll probably peck at your ring or anything shiny.
Oh.
They're just curious birds. They like to exercise. They're usually always on their feet. You very seldom find an ostrich that'll be sitting down. This is probably one of the largest pastures, and we have a really interesting bird here. And this is the ground hornbill. This guy's one of the characters. He's always looking for a bug or a little rodent or some kind of a small mammal. They love mice. They love any kind of grasshoppers or any bugs that they may find. His name is Lurch, and he's just a real character out here, and people love him. We have our kudu antelope, and these are youngsters. Their horns will grow, the male will grow horns that'll be up to 4 foot long as he matures over the next 3 or 4 years. And we have these beautiful little springbuck, which were actually raised right here at Wildlife World. We have some out on our train ride. And each and every animal, you'll notice one of them has a blue tag in its ear there.
Right.
Each and every animal in the zoo is known as an individual and is on our computer system. So we belong to ISIS, which is the International Inventory for Zoo Animals. The wildebeest is one of the animals that isn't endangered. We have several endangered species here on the safari park, but the wildebeest actually occurs in large numbers throughout the plains of Africa.
So how many sections do you have to this safari park?
There's 6 different sections that you go through on the tram ride here, and each one has some animals that are different and unique.
And also see you try to mix in other animals in these groupings. They're not
Right,
just, there's just not one or two species.
Right, the next area we're going to go into, in fact, has several different species of birds mixed in with some swamp antelope. I wanted to point out these white animals up ahead. Those are Dama gazelles. And the Dama gazelles are light in color because they come from the Sahara. They're not really a grasslands animal.
They kind of
this
blend
light
in with the
coloring,
landscape.
yes, they blend in with the sand and the desert surrounding. They're very highly endangered. Many of the different animals from the Sahara have become, and from Saudi Arabia, that Middle East area, have become highly endangered.
So you said you bought this land about 3.5 years ago. So then when you start putting the plans together, you have to go after these animals. So how do you go about picking these animals up?
We know
Is there a
which
Spencer
zoos.
catalog?
No, we know which zoos. There is a surplus list on the computer if zoos happen to have a surplus animal. But in so many cases now, we're planning 2 years ahead.
Right.
Because most zoos now, including Wildlife World, we're not raising animals unless we know we have a good home for them.
So very rarely do you go to the country of origin to get these. I know you mentioned earlier that you have some cheetahs coming, and they're
Yes.
actually coming right from Africa.
Yes, we have some cheetahs that are coming from Africa that were raised in captivity in South Africa. And we also obtained a white lion. We have the only white lion in the Southwest, and it was obtained as it was actually raised in South Africa, and we imported it from South Africa. But 95% or more of the animals at Wildlife World and in most zoos in North America are raised in captivity.
Okay.
So zoos have become very good over the years at raising animals and propagating these animals instead of having to import them from overseas or from the wild. And this is because zoos have become very knowledgeable not only in veterinary medicine and in the proper nutrition and in providing the right habitat for the animals, but we've learned so much. And in some cases, animals are being artificially inseminated in some cases. So if we want to breed an animal, we ship semen across the country. We don't have to ship the animal across the country.
Okay.
So this has been a real change that I've seen in my career here in the last 30 years at Wildlife World Zoo. And just as human medicine and human nutrition, we've learned so much over the last 50 or 75 years, the same is true with zoo animals.
So these are my favorite animals, and you have 2 sets of them, right?
Right, we have 2 sets of
islands?
primates, 2 islands here. On the closest island, underneath their night house here, are the ringtail lemurs. They're actually from Madagascar, a small island off the east coast of Africa. And there's several species of lemurs. We have 3 different species here at Wildlife World. And those lemurs are highly endangered. And they're endangered mostly because of habitat destruction. And then on the second island, we have capuchin monkeys from Latin America, from South America and up into Central America. These are called the brown capuchins, and they love living up in the trees. And so you usually find at least one of them will be climbing a tree or walking across on the ropes in the tree. and they're really characters. They're the typical monkey. One of my favorite animals over here against the trees to our left are the Sitatunga antelope. And they have an interesting adaptation. They have very long hooves, and their hooves are elongated to allow them to walk in muddy and swampy areas.
They look very alert.
They are alert, and they are recent animals here that we just obtained last winter, and so they're still settling in here. We're going into another section here, and we're going to be seeing some more islands here with some more primates. These are spider monkeys. Spider monkeys are very interesting because they have a prehensile tail, so they use their tail as their fifth appendage, and they can completely hang by their tail without any trouble at all.
So the tram really does get you close to animals, close to their environment.
Well, we've been fortunate here to have 6 different rides that are really pleasing.
Hey, you guys, and I do hope you guys enjoy your day here at our zoo.
Hello. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your afternoon, guys.
I want to thank you, Mickey, for taking your time today. I have a very busy week to be my guest on the show today. And thanks to all the staff at the Wildlife Road Zoo who take care of all the animals every day. We've learned quite a bit about the Wildlife Road Zoo and Aquarium, and I appreciate you taking time out of a busy week to join me.
Well, Councilmember Sherwood, it's really a pleasure to have you here. We look forward to the next show.
I hope you enjoyed learning about the Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium and getting a behind-the-scenes look at all the animals and attractions they offer. My next show at the end of this year will have us coming back to this very place to visit the zoo's 4 aquarium buildings, and we'll get an up-close look at the sea lions. Certainly can't wait for that. For more information on the Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium or specifics on their conservation and education programs, please visit wildlifeworld.com or call 623-935-9453. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time right back here on Glendale Today.